Have you ever felt small, overlooked, like you're just a background character in someone else's story? Well, let me tell you about a boy who started out that way, a shepherd boy from a small town, who ended up becoming one of the most famous kings in history. This is the incredible story of David. Our story begins in Bethlehem, a quiet little town. In this town lived a man named Jesse, who had 8 sons. The youngest of them was David. While his older brothers were tall, strong, and impressive, David was often out in the fields, forgotten. His job? Tending to the family's sheep. It wasn't a glamorous job. It was lonely, sometimes dangerous work. He had to protect the flock from predators like lions and bears. But it was out there, under the vast open sky, that David developed his courage, his strength, and his deep faith. He wasn't just watching sheep, he was learning to be a leader, a protector, and a survivor. He also became a skilled musician, playing his harp and singing songs to pass the time. These quiet moments were shaping him for a destiny he couldn't yet imagine. Meanwhile, the nation of Israel had a king, King Saul. He was tall, handsome, and looked every bit the part of a king. But over time, he started to disobey God's commands and became filled with pride and insecurity. So, the prophet Samuel was sent on a secret mission by God to find and anoint a new king. His destination? The house of Jesse in Bethlehem. When Samuel arrived, he was impressed. Jesse brought out his eldest son, Eliab. He was tall, strong, and looked like a king. Samuel thought, surely, this is the one. But God told Samuel something profound. Do not look at his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. One by one, Jesse presented 7 of his sons to Samuel. And one by one, Samuel shook his head. None of them were the chosen one. Confused, Samuel asked Jesse, "Are these all the sons you have?" Jesse paused, almost as an afterthought, and said, "Well, there is still the youngest. He's out tending the sheep." "Send for him," Samuel insisted. And so, they brought in David. He was young, with a healthy glow and handsome features, but he was still just the shepherd boy. As soon as Samuel saw him, God confirmed, "Rise, anoint him, for this is the one." In front of his stunned family, Samuel took a horn of oil and anointed David. In that moment, a quiet shift happened. David, the forgotten shepherd, was now marked for greatness. But he didn't go straight to the palace. He went back to his sheep. The anointing was a promise, but the journey was just beginning. Soon, David's reputation for another skill reached the palace. King Saul was being tormented by a distressing spirit. He was anxious, angry, and miserable. His servants suggested that music might soothe him. And who was known as the best musician around? David, the shepherd boy with the harp. So, David was summoned to the royal court. Whenever Saul was troubled, David would play his harp, and the music would bring peace to the king's tormented soul. David was now serving the very king he was destined to replace, learning the inner workings of the palace, and earning the king's favor. But that favor wouldn't last forever. The real turning point, the moment that launched David into the public eye, came on a battlefield. The Israelites were at a standoff with their archenemies, the Philistines. Every day, the Philistines sent out their champion, a giant of a man named Goliath. He stood over 9 feet tall, covered in bronze armor, and wielding a spear like a weaver's beam. He taunted the Israelite army, challenging any man to single combat. For 40 days, the entire army, including King Saul and David's older brothers, cowered in fear. No one dared to face him. David had been sent by his father to bring supplies to his brothers on the front lines. When he arrived and heard Goliath's defiant shouts, he was shocked. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? He asked. His own brothers scolded him, telling him to go back to his sheep. But David's heart burned with righteous indignation. His faith wasn't in his own strength, but in the God he had come to know so intimately in the lonely fields. He went to King Saul and declared, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." Saul was skeptical. "You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David shared his credentials. "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul, seeing David's unshakable faith, finally agreed. He tried to put his own royal armor on David, but it was too big and clunky. David wasn't meant to fight like a soldier, he was meant to fight like a shepherd. He took it off and instead walked down to the stream and chose 5 smooth stones. With only his shepherd's staff, his sling, and those 5 stones, he went out to face the giant. Goliath looked at the young boy and laughed in contempt. "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" David's reply has echoed through the ages, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin. But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands." With a single, well-aimed stone from his sling, David struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant fell face down on the ground. David had done the impossible. The shepherd boy had defeated the giant. This victory catapulted David to national hero status. The people sang his praises. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. And this is where things got complicated. That song of praise ignited a fire of jealousy in King Saul's heart. The man David had soothed with his music now saw him as a threat. Saul's admiration turned to paranoia and hatred. He tried to kill David, even throwing a spear at him while he was playing the harp in the palace. This began a long and difficult period for David. He became a fugitive, hunted by the king and his army. He lived in caves, in deserts, and in foreign lands. He gathered a band of loyal followers around him, misfits, debtors, and discontented men, and became their leader. During this time, David's character was tested and refined. He had to clear opportunities to kill King Saul and take the throne that was promised to him. But both times, he refused. He respected the anointing that was on Saul and trusted God's timing. He chose to show mercy, not to seize power. This period of running and hiding was a painful but necessary part of his journey. It taught him humility, reliance on God, and what it truly meant to be a leader who cares for his people. He wasn't just a warrior anymore, he was becoming a king with a compassionate heart. Eventually, King Saul and his son Jonathan, who was David's closest friend, died in a battle against the Philistines. David's reaction wasn't celebration, but deep mourning. He wept for the king who had hunted him and for the friend he had loved like a brother. After Saul's death, David was first crowned king over his own tribe of Judah. Then, after a period of civil war, all the tribes of Israel came together and recognized him as their rightful ruler. At the age of 30, the shepherd boy who was anointed in obscurity finally took the throne. David, the 8th son of Jesse, the musician, the giant slayer, the fugitive, was now king of Israel. His reign was the golden age for the nation. He united the tribes, established Jerusalem as the capital city, and brought the Ark of the Covenant, representing God's presence, into the city with great joy and celebration. He was a brilliant military leader, a wise administrator, and a man after God's own heart. Of course, his story wasn't perfect. He made some terrible mistakes later in his life, but his story is ultimately one of redemption, forgiveness, and the incredible power of faith. The journey from a shepherd's field to a king's throne was long, dangerous, and filled with unimaginable challenges. But David's story shows us that it's not about where you start. It's not about what other people think of you or whether you fit the mold. It's about the heart. It's about having courage when others are afraid, showing mercy when you have the power to take revenge,